What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news, some disturbing news concerning Andy, the Destroyer Ruiz. Get this, Andy Ruiz's ex-girlfriend, Julia Lemos, claims that the boxer sexually assaulted her and pointed an AK-47 in her face during an abusive 7-year relationship, but he hits back to claim she stabbed him. Wow. Julia Lemos was granted a restraining order in San Diego back in April 6. The ex-girlfriend of heavyweight prize fighter Andy Ruiz was granted a temporary restraining order against the boxer early this month after she claimed that he assaulted her, abused, and terrorized her over the course of their relationship. And an exclusive with TMZ Sports, it was revealed that Julia Lemos filed for a domestic violence restraining order in San Diego back in April 6. In the filing, she claimed that Ruiz had sexually, physically, and psychologically abused her, making her feel like she had to walk on eggshells around him during the relationship. Lemos, a 26-year-old who was with the boxer from 2015 to 2022, also claimed Ruiz physically and emotionally abused their kids. Ruiz has denied the allegations and claims that he was a victim during the relationship after Lemos stabbed him with a knife. Wow. Okay. According to the filings, Lemos also accused the boxer of alcohol and illicit drug use, which she said caused her to fear for my life and safety and the lives and safety of her children. Lemos says the 33-year-old Ruiz began to get physical with her around the time he beat Anthony Joshua for the Unified Heavyweight Championship in 2019. She documented multiple instances of alleged abuse in the application for the restraining order, saying that he began grabbing me by my upper arms and physically yanking me in order to move me wherever he wanted me to go. Lemos also claimed that Ruiz started to punch her in the arms and legs jokingly, but leaving her covered in bruises. She provided photographic evidence of that in her filings, as you guys can see. She also documents a time earlier this year when the 5th-ranked heavyweight purchased multiple firearms in Las Vegas and wanted her to see them, okay? Lemos said that she became uncomfortable with the amount of firearms around that Ruiz proceeded to point an AK-47 at her face. According to Ruiz, to stop, he told her to shut the F up because telling her the weapons were not loaded and calling her dramatic. Then around February of 2023, Lemos claims Ruiz began to sexually assault her, with the boxer forcing himself onto her on at least 6 different occasions. Shortly after Lemos applied for the temporary restraining order, a court granted it, ordering Ruiz to stay 100 yards away from her, prohibiting him from owning any firearms and granting Lemos sole legal and physical custody of their children. Wow. And a hearing for this matter is scheduled for this coming Monday. Ruiz filed a legal response to Lemos's documents in court, saying that he categorically denies that he ever abused Julia or her children, or his children as well, adding there is just no reason to separate Ruiz from his kids. He also filed claims that Lemos had been violent during their relationship. Ruiz claims in February of 2020, she stabbed him with a knife, providing photos of that as well. Ruiz also said that in April of 2020, Lemos entered my hotel room with a loaded gun in her hand and screamed, "Everybody get the F out of here." Ruiz says Lemos proceeded to hit one of his friends with the gun on the head and proceed to break furniture in the room. Lemos also had been accused of Ruiz of slapping, punching, and grabbing him on multiple occasions, with the boxer saying, "Not once did I ever engage in any physical response to Julie's assault." Lemos has also been accused of stealing $250,000 in jewelry from him in the last month, as Ruiz says he filed a police report of theft with the San Diego police. Wow. Let me counterpunch. Let's start from the beginning. That was a lot to cover. I didn't know it was that severe between Andy and his baby mama. I thought it was his wife. He says girlfriend. So guess what that is? That's his baby mama. Okay. They just happen to be in a relationship. And might I add, a very, very, very toxic one. Okay. Now, if we want to go back and look at what she accused him of doing, okay, physically and psychologically abused her. She had bruises on her arms, okay? And I'm looking at this woman, for what I can see, okay? She's Latina, right? I'm assuming. And whatever she is, she's light-skinned. So if he was punching on her, I could just see Andy. You know, you can see the way he has his arms around her like that. He's very physical anyway. I think he's very playful. He looks like a big playful bastard. You know what I mean? He looks playful. He doesn't look like somebody, you know, he just, no, stop, you know? And I think that's more of her exaggerating. I think that's an exaggeration, honestly. Now, him having forced intercourse with her. Okay, you guys were together, right? So that's kind of, you know, what do you do with that? You know, I have kids with this person, but I'm accused of forcing myself on this person 6 different occasions. If that was legitimate to me, you would have left after the first, definitely the second. You wouldn't have had 6 times where someone did the same thing. Basically, that's the type of relationship he had, or y'all had, because it's like, hey, I want some, come give it to me. Let me show you my Snickers. I'm kidding, guys, but seriously, I think the relationship that they had was like that. I think it was very aggressive. I think it was playful. I think she was dramatic. The AK-47 thing, that was uncalled for. I think this is a case where she needed to say or use something in her defense to grant her the restraining order. So, hey, yeah, the forced intercourse and, oh, he abused me on my arms jokingly. Well, you know, if obviously it wasn't intentional, and you are light-skinned, you bruise easy. I've dated girls that bruise easy, you know, during that type of activity. You know, they get bruises easy, okay? So it happens. But the AK-47 thing, she took that way off the rocker. Because when I first read this, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Andy pulling AK-47s like Scarface? But then him showing her it's not loaded, that's just her afraid of guns, or so she claims, because guess what? She had a gun, pistol whipped one of his friends. They can testify to that. You know, telling everybody to get the F out of the room. You know, those type of things. Oh, and stabbing the man in the back. You know, and that could have explained why he didn't want to fight in 2020, you know, because we didn't hear about any of this. Because remember, what was going on? COVID. This was the pandemic. So everybody, to be fair, people were divorcing, people were tripping, people were really learning their mate. They were learning their partners or partner, right? And they were really driving themselves crazy. That's why the divorce rate in America skyrocketed, because people had to really deal with who they were really with. And I think this is a case of that as well, you know. But the thing is, with this, her stabbing him, they're like, she stabbed him in the back. So she can't say the man was attacking her if he has stab wounds all on that fat back, as you guys can see. So, you know, looking at this, yeah, they need to move on. Co-parent the best that they can or don't. Because what'll happen in this situation, somebody will end up dead and then it'll be anybody else's story. You know, it will be his story or her story, right? Because you won't never know, but like what really happened. Now, was Andy really beating her up? I don't think so. He probably would have slapped the hell out of her or something. But what happened that made her want to stab him in the back? You know what I mean? See, we read this whole thing, and this doesn't seem like a thing of defense. You know what I mean? So I don't really know. I don't know. But I know these two people don't belong together. Period. You know, and that's pretty much it. Some people and everyone don't jail, but domestic violence, yeah, you can't get a gun on with a domestic violence charge. That just don't happen. So, you know, if she's afraid of guns, she shouldn't have had a gun herself, waving it around and pistol whipping people, you know. And if he knew what type of woman she was, there's no way in Hades I would be punching her playful or any other kind of way. You know, because it sounds like to me, she's dramatic. She likes drama and she's looking for it. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Andy Ruiz's accusations that he sexually assaulted her, physically abused her, and psychologically. Of course, please subscribe. Oh, let me leave you with this. If Andy Ruiz was hurting his kids, shame the fuck on him. You know, because you don't abuse your kids, especially if it has anything to do with the mom. You don't do that anyway. Now, if they were getting out of line, he was whooping their ass, that's one thing. Chastising. But if he was doing that because he was drunk on drugs, yeah, no. That's very unacceptable. And Andy, and it's sometimes it's them people that I thank God, oh, I'm so humble, I'm happy, I'm innocent. You know, sometimes it's those type of people that raise the most hell. But then again, I don't know because, you know, until it's proved, it's anybody's story. But anyway, again, you guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.